If you're here, my guess is that you have joined the exciting world of Gielinor, where many great stories await you. Opening your world map reveals a vast landscape in which you want to learn more about. Or maybe you're a veteran player who has decided to take the plunge and learn the lore surrounding the game you have spent potentially hundreds of hours in. Whatever your reason, welcome. I'm the RuneScape Lorehound, and this is the Tales of Gielinor, where we will dive headfirst into the ever-expanding lore of RuneScape. In this video, we will be discussing the history of RuneScape and have an introduction to the vast world and many kingdoms of Gielinor. This video is designed to give you the foundations of RuneScape lore, which we can then build upon in future episodes. Welcome again to the Tales of Gielinor. Our discussion surrounding RuneScape lore begins with its history. The world of Gielinor, or the world of RuneScape as it is so called by the humans who inhabit it, is an MMORPG developed by Andrew Gower and his brothers Paul and Ian. Inspired by the retro MUDs or multi-user dungeons where players work together to pass rooms in text-based web browsers, Andrew had the ingenious idea of adding graphics to these text-based adventures, while his brother, Paul, was responsible for many of RuneScape's first characters and storylines. Paul is credited for arguably the most well-respected storyline in the game, that being the Majorat or Lucian questline, which culminated in 2011 with the quest Ritual of the Majorat. RuneScape was released in 2001 and its popularity soared within the year, so much so, the trio had trouble preventing the servers from crashing due to the massive influx of new players. Returning back to the characters and storylines, it is time to discuss the different kingdoms of Gielinor, beginning with the first kingdom developed for RuneScape. Gielinor is divided into separate kingdoms. We are going to begin with the kingdom of Misthalin, which was the first kingdom released into the game on the 4th of January 2001. Misthalin is ruled by King Rold Reminis III and Queen Ella Maria, with its capital being the city of Varrock. Both royals reside in the Varrock Palace, which is found east of RuneScape's biggest trading system, the Grand Exchange. Another notable location just south of Varrock within this kingdom is Lumbridge, which is ruled by Duke Horatio, who lives in Lumbridge Castle. Lumbridge was the original location where players would start their adventure, and houses RuneScape's oldest non-player character, or NPC, Hans, who can be found doing laps of Lumbridge Castle. Next, we have Draenor Village, a small, gloomy village with a haunted manor overlooking it. Finally, Edgeville, a small town bordering the wilderness, which was originally called Ghost Town and had no inhabitants until a little while after its release. That covers most of the notable locations of Misthalin. Next is the Kingdom of Asgarnia. The Kingdom of Asgarnia is found next to the Kingdom of Misthalin, with its capital being the city of Falador, which is ruled by Sir Amic Vars of the White Knight's castle, in place of King Valence, who has never been seen in-game. There have been implications that Valence is too old and tired to rule the kingdom, and therefore allows the White Knights to do it for him. It will be interesting to learn more about this character, and indeed we can ask further questions about Valence after the events of one of RuneScape's many quests as an Adra's quest. The other city in Asgarnia is Port Sarim, where a harbour can be found with ships that can take you all over Gielinor. The three towns in Asgarnia are the Dwarven Mines. These are large dungeons inhabited by dwarves found to the north of Falador. The second town is Rimington, and the third is Burthorpe. Burthorpe succeeded Lumbridge as being the first area new adventurers now spawn into, and remains the first location that players will see. It is the only settlement in Asgarnia, along with Tavali, which is not controlled by the White Knights. Burthorpe is currently facing a troll invasion from the Troll Country found to the north of the town, and relies on adventurers and its military to keep the invasion at bay. The two villages of Asgarnia are Tavali. This is found south of Burthorpe and is a location that new players will see a lot of. The Goblin Village, which is ruled by General Bentnose and General Wartface, who remain devout followers of Bandos, the god of war. The final notable locations in Asgarnia are Mudskipper Point, Ice Mountain, and the Black Knight's Fortress. That covers Asgarnia. Next, we move on to the biggest kingdom of Gielinor, Kandarin. Found next to the Kingdom of Asgarnia is the Kingdom of Kandarin, with its capital being Ardoin. Ardoin is split into East Ardoin and West Ardoin, and is ruled by two brothers, King Lathas and King Tyrus, each inheriting half of the city of Ardoin from their father after his death. West Ardoin is suffering from a terrible plague and so remains closed off from East Ardoin at the order of King Lathas. King Tyrus, who is in charge of West Ardoin, was adventuring in the elven lands of Tirannwn, and so Lathas made this executive decision. A combination of greed and a want for power ends in the death of King Tyrus, and a conspiracy comes to light. We may talk about this event in more detail in another video. The Kingdom of Kandarin consists of a fishing town called Catherby and two fishing villages called the Piscatoris Fishing Colony, found in the northwest corner of the kingdom, and Heminster. The town of Camelot houses King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, as well as a courtroom. Seers Village, found next to Camelot, is under the rule of the Seers Council, which is made up of a collection of humans with the ability to see into the future. Listing some other notable locations in the Kingdom of Kandarin, we have Witch Haven in Yanil, the Sinclair Mansion where an awful murder has taken place, the Observatory, Castle Wards, Port Khazard, and Backstorian Falls. This is not an exhaustive list, but covers the main settlements in the Kingdom of Kandarin. To the west of the Kandarin Kingdom is the Tree Gnome Stronghold. Our tale now becomes much darker when we look into the Kingdom of Morytania. Morytania is a harsh kingdom controlled by the vampire race, namely Lord Lawernial Draken. It is a tyrannic region in which humans are treated terribly and vampires are favoured. A small resistance group called the Myaki, led by Veliath Hertz and Safalan Hallow, has been set up, determined to end this vampiric tyranny. In addition to this, Draken poses a threat to the Kingdom of Misthalin, and King Rold of Varrock must deal with this threat with the help of the player. The Vampire series is a great storyline within RuneScape, which we may cover at a later date. Many of the locations in Morytania are closed off to the player initially, including the capital, Darkmaya, where the brutality of this region towards humans can be clearly seen. A well-known location in this kingdom is Canaphis, home to many humans who are not necessarily as they seem. To the north of Canaphis is the Slayer Tower, and to the south is the Mort Mere Swamp, Nature Grotto, and the last free human settlement in Morytania, Berg de Rome. Other notable locations within this kingdom are Fenkenstrain's Castle, home to a twisted scientist who wants to bring a monster to life, Port Phasmatis, a cursed port town inhabited by ghosts, Morton, Maya Ditch, Castle Draken, and now the Everlight dig site. This brings us to the end of the kingdoms. It's time to discuss Menaphos. Quarantining itself from the plague that affected the people of the neighbouring town Sophanum, Menaphos, or the Golden City, is located in the south of the Kharidian desert, ruled by the Pharaoh. It is made up of 4 districts: the Worker, Port, Imperial, and Merchant districts. It is one of the 2 major desert hubs. Al-Kharid is the second major desert hub in Gielinor, ruled by Emir Shah, found in the north of the Kharidian desert, the other being Menaphos, which we have just spoken about. In the middle of the vast Kharidian desert, some notable locations are Polnivniak, Nardar, Bandit Camp, Uza, and the Dominion Tower. To the west of the Kharidian desert is Tuskar's crashed corpse. Tuskar, or the World Eater, was a boar-like goddess who attempted to devour Gielinor. She was killed by one of Gielinor's defenders, Virago, and her corpse crashed into the Southern Sea, just west of the Kharidian desert. The mysterious land of the elves, Tirannwn, is a realm covered by thick forest, and consequently is nearly cut off from the rest of Gielinor. Its capital, Prythinas, houses the 8 elven clans who rule over this land. This is a high-level location for players, and is only accessible after having finished most of the Elf questline. Seren, the goddess of the elves, is often found here. A notable location in this region is Shiletua, an elven village in Tirannwn. Located south of the kingdoms of Asgarnia and Kandarin is the tropical luscious jungle of Karamja, which can be accessed from the harbour in Port Sarim. The main hub in Karamja is Brimhaven, in which you will find lots of pirates. Some more notable locations within the jungles of Karamja are Musa Point, Zar City, Tybro Wanai, Shiloh Village, and the Karazi Jungle. The Karazi Jungle is only accessible after proving yourself to be a capable adventurer to the Legends Guild, and then undertaking a mission to map out the unexplored jungle during Legends Quest. Interestingly, not much is known about the history of Karamja. Next, the Wilderness. Briefly mentioned earlier, it is found north of Edgeville and is a dangerous and barren wasteland. Previously a lush green location called Furin, this location was scorched by Zamorak, the god of chaos, using the immensely powerful artifact, the Stone of Jas, towards the end of the God Wars. The Wilderness has many ruined houses and settlements as a result of the God Wars, and these wars covered the entirety of the Third Age. To the east of the Wilderness is Daemonheim, which is a huge dungeon complex created by the Dragonkin. Finally, a territory found to the northwest of the world map is the Fremmenik Province, controlled by the Fremmeniks, who are a group of human Norsemen. The capital of this province is Relica, in which a majority of Fremmeniks can be found, including the leader of the province, Brunt the Chieftain. The Fremmeniks largely worship the god V. On the mainland, some notable locations in this area are the Lighthouse, where a monster lurks in the basement, the Mountain Camp, where the chieftain's daughter has gone missing, and Wartburth Island. Some offshore islands that are classed under the Fremmenik Province are the islands of Jatitso, which has a king who won't stop raising taxes, Natisnot, Miscellanea, Eseteria, and the Lunar Isle, where the Moon Clan tribe live under the control of the Oniromancer. The Moon Clan are telepathically and magically skilled humans who need an adventurer's help to solve a feud they have with Relica. Many thanks for watching this introductory video, and I hope it gave you some foundations to RuneScape's lore. I obviously haven't covered all of the locations in Gielinor because we'd be here all day, but I've tried to give you a summary of all the major locations and some of the major storylines which can be built upon in future videos. I hope you enjoyed this Tale of Gielinor. Please leave suggestions in the comments for what Tale of Gielinor you want me to tell next. Take care everybody, goodbye.